Good afternoon. This is Michelle Thompson, your legal and academic coach, and I present you today our writing tip for today. As you know, this is a part of a 5-part series on editing, and today we're getting to the very baby structures of editing from sentence to sentence. So here's the story. Sometimes you're writing something and you feel like you have fairly flawless sentences that don't actually click. I know that feeling, and I think the solution is that we edit the same way when writing actually needs different kinds of things. So the series was designed to make sure that you have the right editing tool for different points in your projects. So all of this is based on Wendy Belcher's book, How to Complete Your Journal Article in 12 Weeks. It's a fantastic book. No one's paying me to say this. I use it myself. Go get it as a resource. It's fantastic. You'll use it over and over and over again. And in that book, she focuses on editing a written piece. She lays out how to edit, and she incorporates the kind of assistance that academic writers actually need, and I think a lot of these apply also to lawyers. So this is the last installment of this series. You can find back copies in the videos, and I encourage you to go there as you need them, and also to buy the book. So the other videos and other writing tips in this series have been focused on macro structure, really big stuff. You know, like, do you have an argument? Does your argument flow from place to place? Do you actually have connecting sentences, etc.? And does the evidence support your argument? These are macro edits in a piece. Now we're getting to the micro edits, the sentence by sentence, making sure it really works. And these edits, although they're the last, they're hardly the least important, because if they don't work well, you know what? Journals are not going to read your piece. They're just going to go, yeah, next, because they can find someone who can get those particular sets of edits correct. So let me start with the expectations for in American academic English journals. Different in different languages, I wouldn't know. I'm not publishing and not trying to publish in those. So, but here are the expectations with how you write. That you don't use 2 words when 1 word will do. You don't use a noun when you can use a verb, because verbs are much more forceful. You refrain from using adjectives and adverbs in your writing. You don't use a pronoun when a noun would be clearer. You don't use a general word when you can use a specific word. And you do not use the passive voice unless it's unclear who the subject is, or it doesn't matter. That's rare. So based on those expectations, if you're writing in an English-speaking academic journal, here's a litany of ways to improve your basic sentence structure. Okay, so this is a lot of listing. I don't normally talk this way, but I actually think it's really helpful. And if you get the book, you'll be able to work alongside with that as well. So, recommendation 1, search for the words and or. And often when you see those words, it's a flag that you're trying to use 2 words instead of 1, right? It also signals a list, and we don't want lists in our academic writing. And Joe and Mary and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your sentences have parallel construction. So if you have 2 clauses and they're connected by and, they should have the same kind of they should read like each other, different words with the same grammatical uses of those words. You also want to eliminate run-on sentences. That's fine in German. It is not okay in English, right? So that's what I would recommend that's what Belcher recommends for searching for the word and or. Then search for the words there and it, T-H-E-R-E. These 2 words can often signal deadwood or weak verbs. You don't want those, right? So, and it also clutters sentences. So let me give you an example of that. Quote, it was clear from the high attendance that there are many who enjoy opera. What? Okay, I understand. I agree. That sounds really weird. So the fix for that particular sentence is this. High attendance signals that many enjoy opera. See, it's a much cleaner, better sentence. I wish I had visuals and I could show you that, but if I write it down on a card, it's going to show up backwards. So that's why you want to make sure that you don't have lots of theirs and its in your writing. You want to search for the words that, which, and who. That, which, and who. Because these are also signals of dead wood in your writing. When they appear together, delete them as much as possible. So here's an example of that. His fundamental belief is that there is a conflict between Sartre's philosophy and his ethics. Okay. But look, if we get rid of all of those that, whiches, and whos, it becomes this clean sentence. He believes that Sartre's philosophy conflicts with his ethics. Much cleaner, much easier to understand. Next, search for prepositions like by, of, to, for, toward, on, at, from, in, with, and as. It's a long list. If you're watching this later, I'd recommend that you go back and listen to that again or get the book. Yeah. When these words appear in clusters, there's a signal. It's a signal that you have unneeded phrases. So here's an example. In order to pass the tests in the field of sociology, you must study the textbook. Okay. To pass a sociology test, you must study the textbook. Much cleaner, much easier, good to read. Sometimes there are words that actually require that you add words. And these and those are one of those words that suggest that you probably need to add words. Because if it is not clear what they are, you have to add words to modify them, right? The example, these cause the problem. These what cause what problem, right? These manufacturers cause the problem. So you have words added to make something much clearer. The same thing happens with they, them, their, their, and its, right? Those words can often appear too far away from the words from the noun that you were talking about in the first place, and they could signal the wrong thing that you're talking about. So here's an example. They cannot always be confident about its results. Who's the they and what's its? So to rework it, the researchers cannot be confident of the test's results. These that's ways of cleaning that up. There are also words that need to be changed, not just deleted or add words, but to also just change altogether. So here you want to search for, and this is a lot of verb stuff. Here you want to search for forms of the verb to be, including is, are, was, were, am, be, being, and been, right? You don't want to use any of these constructions of the verb to be if another verb construction would do the job better, right? And here's where passive voice becomes a bogeyman. Right. The problem with passive voice is you don't know who's doing the action, and it's when you have all these to be words, it's a sign that you need to clarify something, maybe even for yourself. Clear writing is clear thinking, and maybe there's something you haven't actually thought through, and you need to make sure that happens, right? Other verbs like that are like the verb to have, right, including had or has, and those are great words to use if you're using the perfect tense of the verb to have. But you may not need that particular tense at all. I actually have banished it from my writing because it just slows things up. When things get wordy, it slows up the prose and it's hard to read. Also search for the verb to do, including does and dis, because the does and did can bury a verb as a noun. An example is, we would like to do a study on animal husbandry. Okay, what's really the verb there? Let's try this. We would like to study animal husbandry. It's a much simpler, cleaner sentence, and it really gets to what you're trying to do. The word to make can be one of these problems as well. So to make, to provide, to perform, to get, to seem, and to serve, all of those verbs, look for them, find them. They also bury stronger verbs. Example, this course will provide an introduction to animal husbandry to undergraduates. Oh boy. This course will introduce undergraduates to animal husbandry. Much cleaner, much stronger statement. Search for words ending in the letters ENT, ENCE, ION, and IZE, right? Because these also signal verbs buried as nouns. I would like to draw attention to this inference from the sentence in Finnegan's Wake that. What? Okay. I infer from the sentence in Finnegan's Wake that. Much cleaner, and you don't bury the verb that you're trying to handle. Infer. Search for the word not, because it's often a weak word, and it often signals that you're on your way to creating a double negative, right? And you just want to say things in the positive. Search for the word very, It signals cluttered writing or weak verbs. Um, so that's a no-no. Don't kill very. One example, they were very tired. Well, why not just say if they're that tired, they were exhausted, right? And finally, search for the words that end in ly, because it also signals weak verbs, and the words themselves are kind of weak, right? So an example is that they absolutely believed Epiphania would be very successful to completing her project. Oh, they were confident that Epiphania would complete her project. That is a much stronger statement. Now you know what to look for. I would really get the book and use this video alongside the book in case you need to hear stuff and see it written at the same time. Belcher's book is fantastic. I took all of the examples from there so you can read them. And as I read it, I would think about how would I fix that sentence before reading her solution to them, right? Her tips actually have real resonance beyond journal articles, right? If you follow The Professor is In, Karen Kelsky does lots of really good work with people who are applying for academic jobs, including fixing your job letters. These are the kinds of issues that drive her crazy in these letters, and she edits out immediately. I also want to add that if you're a woman, if you're female, you're not trained to be confident and straight. We're not trained to be confident and straightforward with what we say, right? We're trained to make sure that people can handle the truth that we're about to give out. You know, don't be too forward. That's just kind of whether or not we agreed to it. This is the training that we get in order to be female and survive. And all of these writing issues that we find on a sentence to sentence level, especially like using the word very or the ly words, these are the signals that show that we're trying to be careful about what we're saying. We can't do this. You know what? You've done all this work on this particular project. You know what you're doing. Show it. Show what you know. Work it, right? You want to be more authoritative. You want clearer and better writing. Don't hide what you know. Don't hide your gift. Don't hide what we need to learn from you. So take these tips very, very seriously. A few announcements. Number one, if you're new to my page and you like this video, please click the like button so that you can easily get other things that I'm doing up on your news feed. If you are an academic, if you scroll down on the left side, you will find an option for newsletter, I think is what it's called. Go ahead and click on that and get on my mailing list. One's coming out on the 15th. I would love for you to have it in your hands. If you're a lawyer, I'll put the link for that underneath this videotape. And if you are a lawyer, I have created a new offering for you. If you are a woman who's practicing law, I have the Tribe of Legal Warriors for you, and this is a chance where you get to have a community of women and me guiding all of you to figure out what it is you want and how to get there, how to set goals and achieve your personal and professional successes. I hope you do that. You get some resource to make this stuff happen, right? I have weekly Twitter chats on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. There is one academic thing, all one word, hashtag one academic thing, where you can tell me one thing in your academic life that you would like to change that would make your job go better. Make sure you include hashtag one academic thing in your answer so that I see it. And if you're a lawyer, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays is one legal thing, hashtag one legal thing, one thing that you can tell me about your legal work that you would like to change so that your job goes better. Don't forget to include hashtag one legal thing, all one word, no no punctuation, so that I can see your answer. Have a great weekend, and today's a 2-for-1, so next I'm actually going to do, for academics, how to use your summer well. Thanks. See you next week.